CG show with Omar Jasika here today. If you don't know this guy, Australian tennis player on the comeback tour. He's literally, in 2014, he won the boys singles and the doubles at the US Open. He's notably played in the Australian Open where he's played some big names, Rafael Nadal. You played Nadal in an exhibition, you've played Ferrer, and you've also played Joe Wilfried Tsonga. You've had a pretty crazy career and you've been chucked into some pretty interesting situations, and you're still extremely young, so you've got a long way to go. But thank you so much for coming and having a chat here today. I've been really wanting to get you on because I really wanted to understand, obviously, what it's been like for yourself as a tennis player and growing up. And how did you even get into tennis?
Yep.
Where did it even start?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. Where I started was my dad used to play with his friends a little bit. So I sort of started to go with him. He used to bring me along, and I sort of used to play a little bit like with him, but as I got older, I started really enjoying it, and then started getting lessons, and it sort of just started from there, to be honest. Then started getting into smaller tournaments around Melbourne, Victoria, and then I was actually winning a few of them. So I was like, you know what, maybe I actually do have a chance at this. So I just thought I would try it and keep going with it.
So it was just like, let's go out there, have some fun, have a hit, and all of a sudden you were just obviously really good at it. Is it something that you enjoyed doing, obviously playing every single day?
Being left-handed helped a lot as well, being so young and left-handed. So I think that was an advantage for me as well, because a lot of lefties seem to be trickier to play. A lot of right-handers don't like playing lefties.
Why is that?
Just because the ball comes from a different angle and this different spin. So a lot of players, that sort of, to adjust to that takes them a little bit. But yeah, other than that, because I throw right-handed, so I'm ambidextrous. I think the word might be. Don't know if that's a right saying, but we'll
I think it is.
But so I was a little bit weird. But yeah, I really enjoyed tennis growing up. So.
And then, so obviously, as you kept on going, what was it like? Did you start entering? Like, how do you actually make it in tennis? So you started entering, obviously, tournaments here in Victoria. You started winning. And then what happens? How did you start, obviously? Did you start going into state to play with Australia's best?
We sort of moved around a little bit. My parents decided to move to the Gold Coast when I was about 9 or 10, just because the tennis was a bit better up there. There was more tournaments, more variety, a lot more players to train with. Got over there, and I was up there for a few years on the Gold Coast. Was loving the weather. It was good to train, and then just started entering more tournaments, and then sort of moved back to Melbourne 5 years later, and then got picked up by the academy there. It used to be called the tennis academy there in Melbourne Park, and then just sort of started training with them, and then sort of used to travel with them a bit, and then just progressed from there, to be honest.
I know, for example, you see it with like AFL or football or just team sports where there's some players that they're extremely talented, but for some reason they just never get picked up. And where, for example, with tennis, it's more like you're versing someone one-on-one. So if you keep winning, then you'll kind of keep progressing. Is that generally the case the same way or not really?
Yes and no, I think. Tennis is a tough sport because it's an individual sport,
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to have a few losses on the way and a lot of good wins, but sort of, obviously, if you want to keep progressing, you got to keep winning, right? And so you sort of start in the little leagues and then sort of make your way up to bigger tournaments. And I think when you start winning a lot more matches, then you got to sort of go interstate, and then from interstate you sort of go to Europe or America and sort of you test yourself to see how good you really are,
Did you get over? Were you playing a lot overseas? Like when you turned pro, you were, but like, for example, like before that, were you going overseas and playing tournaments and things like that? And like, how does it work? Like, obviously, money wise, like they say, like tennis is a rich man's sport. How did that all play a role?
I was fortunate enough to have Tennis Australia help me out a little bit when I was younger. So I went to Europe. My first trip was about when I was 16, overseas to Europe, with a small sort of squad with our team. And I think I went to Slovenia and all those other places around there. Just play a few tournaments, and I was obviously like a different ball game over there, because Europeans, they train a lot. So it was good to see where I actually stand against those guys. And I was actually competing pretty well over there. and then sort of played the French Open Juniors, and then so it was good to experience that for sure at a young age.
Yeah, what's it like actually going over there? Being, guessing you on your own. You said you were with a little bit of a team, but you're still kind of chucked in 16-year-old,
exactly.
bloody traveling the world by yourself. Like, how did you find it?
It wasn't easy for sure. It was the first time away from home, and it's sort of, I get a bit homesick, so not seeing my parents for so long, that was a little bit difficult. But a lot of Skype calls back at home, which helped. But everyone sort of tries to stay together, and we had a few coaches with us, so you sort of keep them around, and you try to do the best you can and help each other, because obviously you're in the same boat as everyone else. But it's not easy, but it was a good experience for sure.
Man, the one thing I've always wondered if I was a bloody tennis player would be, obviously you're literally traveling 24/7, jumping off planes, jet lagged as fuck, and then you've got to play. Like, how do you guys do it, man? How is there like a little technique? Like, for example, like the world's best, that the top 100, or even just the world's best. Like, how do they handle it? Like, what separates them?
It's actually such a tough sport mentally. I know a few times I've wanted to quit just because it's so mentally draining, especially when you're flying you don't even know what country you're at half the time. You're just sort of running around, and you literally, it's like you go, like you said, you have your suitcase, hotel, tennis courts, and it gets a bit draining at times, but it's got its perks. You have a lot of sightseeing, different food, like it's just all that sort of stuff that helps. But I'm definitely keen for what's coming up for me, so looking forward to it. Man,
and even like, what's it like, what's your routine like? So you got a tournament coming up, what's your daily routines? How much are you training? What's the day in the life of a tennis player, really?
I think a day in the life of a tennis player would be sort of obviously early mornings, try and fit as many hours as you can on court, so you sort of have the day to yourself and sort of work out what needs to be done. But I'd probably say 3-4 hours a day, honestly, probably 2 hours on court, and then fitness in the afternoons, or it just depends how your body's feeling. I guess everyone's body's different, and I guess that I'm getting older now, so sort of got to look after my body a bit more. Back's getting a bit sore and all that.
You're an old man.
Yeah, getting there. But yeah, it's all that. It's all about how you look after your body, I guess, at the end of the day. So,
What was it like, obviously, trying to be so committed to the sport, but then, for example, you see your mates that they're going out, they're partying, they're living the dream, or you've got to be in bed early because you've got the tournament the next day. Like, and I'm sure you've seen, there's probably been so many guys that you've grown up with that they've probably been better than you, but just the commitment levels kind of let them down.
Yeah, the commitment is hard, because you obviously want to go out, but you sort of want to train as well. Well, you got to sort of balance it out, I guess, but it's tough to really, you got to sort of commit to one. Your friends should not be able to understand that, you got a tennis career, and they got to try and help you as much as they can. Even as much as they want you to come out, they sort of got to do what's right for you. But it's definitely not easy, especially when you're a bit younger, and as soon as you turn 18, you want to go out and experience things. It's not easy, but you sort of got to choose one path, I guess.
You gotta be fucking
exactly. But it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's worth it. Exactly right.
And even for yourself, like growing up, did you get to number one as a junior boy?
Best ranking was probably 6.
Yeah.
6 junior. I finished off the year. So that was my best. Never won. I wanted to get to 1, but 6 was probably my best.
What was that like? So what was that year like? Because I know as I just when I brought you in, I introduced you with, you've won obviously the US Open boys and singles and doubles the same year. What was that like?
That was probably one of my highlights of my career for sure. It was actually extraordinary just to feel that. Well, I've never felt that feeling before, going to Flushing Meadows at New York, and just playing in juniors was so cool. It's like a mini junior slam. It's obviously not the big levels, but it's still pretty cool. And winning the singles and doubles was, I think I might have set a record that year. I don't think anyone's done it for like heaps, or I don't know, many years, but I think I might have set that record, winning the singles and doubles, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it was an amazing feeling. You know, it was adrenaline rush, definitely adrenaline rush. For
What was that? What was that year like? So that was 2014. How old?
2014, yeah.
You would have been 16 years old.
Yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was once again like I was sort of traveling heaps that year, and I think that was my last trip as well, New York, and I think that was my last year playing juniors. So it was sort of my last tournament, I think, at juniors as well. And yeah, it was good to go down like that, to be honest.
And then even
Finish on a good note.
yeah, bloody oath. And you don't get as for winning those tournaments as a junior, you don't get paid, do you?
No, I wasn't getting paid. No.
So how does that work? So how, for example, like how does that work? So you were fortunate enough to be sponsored by, Tennis Australia. But other players, for example, from other countries that don't have that benefit, like I'll use like, I don't know, the Greek the Greek national team or things like that, where they don't have that, that benefit. Does that really hold a lot of players back?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like we are very fortunate enough to have Australia behind us, and a lot of federations, they struggle. It's just very tough to support a lot of players, So yeah, we're very fortunate to have Tennis Australia helping us and all that. But yeah, it's sort of because there's no money in juniors, so there's a lot of scouts there that sort of try and look out for players and try to sponsor you. So sort of the better you do, the better you sort of get looked at. Yeah, they're looked at, I would say,
Yeah. So scouts. So when you say scouts, like what do you mean?
Just in terms of sponsors, there's a lot of sponsors there that try to look out for you, managements and all that. So yeah.
Okay.
If you do well, obviously they'll come after you after the match and have a chat to you,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because obviously you're a lot younger, so it's very tough to understand what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you sort of got to adjust to it,
You're just there like, bloody, I want to hit the ball, yeah?
Exactly.
Everyone's like throwing stuff at you. No, but then obviously you went, so okay, that would have been September, October, then straight away you went, so then pretty much after that you went pro.
Yep. I think after that I got a call up to get a wild card into Malaysia Open.
Yeah.
ATP. That was probably my first ATP. So obviously doing so well, and I was in form. I played the ATP tournament, and I lost the first round, but it's still an amazing experience. Just to go from junior straight into those big leagues. It was I thought it was a pretty big gap.
Yeah, that's huge. And even what did you find? What were the differences playing against more mature bodies?
Yeah, it was obviously a different level, but I think my game was ready enough to play those guys, and I remember I lost in 3 sets, so I felt like I was there, almost had the match in my hands. That sort of gave me a bit more leverage, and hope to like train a bit harder, because if I was there, that means what can I do next year coming up. So yeah. And
then straight into the Aussie Open, you went, was your first Grand Slam.
Yep.
You played. Did you play Ferrer in your first?
No. I played. I beat Ilya Marchenko in my first round. And then I lost to Joe Wilfred Tsonga in the second round. Yeah.
What was that like? Just your first tournament, obviously on on your home court. What was that even like?
It was crazy. All that adrenaline was starting to kick in. It's just mentally so draining. Like, because I had a big few months, and I was honestly like almost breaking down because there was just so much going on. I didn't know how to cope with it, to be honest. And it was an amazing feeling, like I said. It was just, I can't even describe it. It was something I've never experienced before, and played unbelievable my first round, and have this, especially in my backyard, as my first Grand Slam. It was good to have such a big support team behind me, and a big crowd that was sort of helping me try to win my first round, and it was just crazy. Yeah.
I think I remember. I remember, like, I think I was walking through the grounds, and I think I looked up at the screen, and I think you'd won that match. Like, I was there at the day. I wasn't at the game. Yeah. I wasn't at the match, but you had. I remember. I think you had a decent like fan base. Like, were they were your mates?
So they used to train at the tennis club where I used to train. This is the Omar. They used to call themselves the Omar Army. Yeah. So they used to make custom shirts with each player having one letter of my name. So the Omar Army spelt on everyone's each shirt. So seeing them in the crowd, literally lining up, like it was the whole stands. It was crazy, and it's just obviously that was just having them there made me want to play them more. It was incredible.
Do you think winning that match, has that been, do you reckon, would you put that down as like your biggest highlight of your career so far? Like, was that just a feeling that you can't even...
Yeah, I remember Well, this is like, it's like a blurred memory sort of, you know, it's
Yeah.
weird because so much is going on that you sort of pick up parts of the day. I remember the night before I was struggling to sleep. I had butterflies the whole night. I couldn't even sleep. Finally got some sleep. I remember waking up and I was just so nervous the whole day. And when my name got called to actually go on court, I was like, I really don't want to do this. It was just, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to go out there. So I remember I was walking and like my legs were jelly. Like I was trying to listen to music, but the crowd was so loud that I couldn't even hear the music in my headphones. And I was like trying to walk and it was crazy. But seeing familiar faces in the crowd as well, I could see like my dad, my mum, and then like grandma and friends, and it was just so much going on. But you try and focus as much as you can, even though it's hard and it's an amazing experience. You want to try and live every moment of it. You sort of got to buckle down and try and win as well for everyone else.
Yeah, well, like what even happened? Like, did it take you a long time to kind of just get yourself into the game, or like how did you really go in there? Like, did it, obviously being on such a big stage, did it affect you, or did you kind of get in the zone pretty quickly?
Yeah, I remember warming up and the first set was a little bit shaky. It's just because I was so nervous, but it didn't take me too long, you know. I sort of found my groove pretty early. The match, which was good. It could have been a lot worse. Could have, started the engine a bit later. But yeah, it didn't take me too long, and the crowd really helped me. Honestly, I was so engaged, and you sort of take point step by step, you know, because you're out there for who knows, for a few hours, and it was definitely worth it. Yeah.
Man, how do you guys? The thing that I think of myself, if I was a bloody tennis player, how do you guys go out there in 40-degree heat and play for like 4 hours?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's honestly tough. It's pretty brutal at times, when the heat, because especially when you're on the court, it's a lot hotter as well. But you sort of learn that's why you sort of train in the heat as well, so it helps. But that's an advantage, I think, for a lot of players. So when they come over here, when it's so hot, they seem to struggle a bit in the heat. So you sort of take that under your belt, and playing in the heat, you obviously you have to hydrate a lot during the day, and even the night before, because it gets tough. You can start cramping at any time of the match, and obviously when you start cramping, then it makes things a lot harder for yourself. But yeah, I think the heat definitely would suit me in a way, sort of. Yeah,
mate, you got a good bloody tan now.
I know. I've been trying to.
You walked in.
A lot of people are jealous.
Look at him, he's golden.
Yeah. I know. I'll take it.
And even the home court advantage, how much of a difference does that make? Like when you see football all the time, the fans, they make a massive difference. And then you hear, for example, Marcus Bagnatis or Tsitsipas, the Greeks, they love getting around them, and they always say how much of it G's them up and to get down here. Does it really make that extra bit of difference?
Oh, definitely, 100%. It's a G up, 100%. It's yeah. Obviously, when the crowd gets involved, it's just a different story. It's just the adrenaline just kicks in, and you're sort of running off adrenaline. But playing at home definitely makes a big difference, and a lot of players seem to struggle when they're here, just because it's just so trying to block that stuff out, especially when you're on the opposite side of the team as well, and it just makes it so hard. Every sort of thing gets into your head and it starts piecing through your brain, and yeah, focusing is definitely hard for them. But yeah, playing at home is definitely a good feeling.
I remember, I think it was Baghdadis versus Joey Wilfred Songer. He was losing it.
He was losing his marbles, wasn't he?
Yeah, this is tennis, man. This is tennis. He's losing it. Just trying because and obviously you look at that run that Baghdadis went on in 2006. Like, the Greeks, I reckon they pushed him through a bit. Like,
yeah, they do. But lucky it's not a soccer match because they set up flares and all that. They're gonna start setting up flares at the show.
Yeah, but even I was at the Greece Australia match the other day, and just having like half attendance or quarter attendance, whatever it was, didn't really feel the same. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know. It will be an interesting Aussie Open. Like, I don't think it'll be.
It will be.
Yeah, not having as many people, but even what was it like going up against, obviously Tsonga in the next round.
Yep.
And then obviously you've played Ferrer, and I think you've played Nadal before, and you've obviously trained with the biggest guys. in the game it has. Like, what's that been like, and what was it like versing them? Like, what's you know?
Well, it's very, because I used to look up to all these players, you know, and it was just being in the locker rooms with them was a weird feeling for starters. It was just walking past these guys and you see them on TV all the time, you know, you're like, start to think to yourself, am I really actually here? You sort of try to pinch yourself because it feels like a dream, you know. But this is what you've worked for, you know, this is what you've actually worked for. At the end of the day, this is where you want to get to, and this is where I want to be. And just training with those players was an amazing feeling and experience, and thankful for those guys to actually wanted to practice with me and hit with me, because it honestly gives me an opportunity to learn a lot from these guys. Because these guys are obviously the best in the world. So seeing these guys and watching these guys play was, yeah, it's definitely a great feeling to just be out there with them as well and learn a lot for sure.
What separates them from the rest? So what separates the top 10 or the top 100 from, you know, someone that's top 1,000, top 2,000?
Yeah.
Is it skill level? Like,
yeah.
Is it mental? Like, what is it?
I definitely think it's a mental side of aspect. The aspect it's just the small things, you know. They look after their bodies a lot more, and it's just the small things they train. If they're extra hour on court or whatever, yeah, it's definitely it plays a big role, mental for sure.
Yeah. Do you think, like, for example, someone that's top 1,000, for example, like, can they break, like, if they played someone in the top 100 if they played them 10 times, could they beat them 5 times? Like, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I'm just trying to figure out, like, how much does mental.
Yeah, it would. I definitely think they'll win a few more times than the other person. But it just depends, you know. So everyone has their days, I guess. At the end of the day, everyone sort of wakes up moody, or, you know, everyone has their days where they play good. And tennis is such a weird sport, you know. You could go out there and beat the best player in the world, and the next day you could lose to someone that has no ranking. You know, it's just tennis is just so crazy like that. So yeah, but definitely mental side of things. It's if you can stay in there, you know, focus on each point by each point, because it's pretty hard to actually be out there for a lot, you know, and just
Do you, like, what do you tell yourself? So mentally, you know, obviously you go through your days where things aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you telling yourself to get yourself through or get yourself to the next level? Like, what's going through your head, and how do you kind of deal with it? And you know, at Fedge, like, we had this conversation. I actually had him on a week ago. We actually had a chat and we talked about his career and things like that. And he was telling me that, you know, he truly believes, you know, mental really let him down. Like, and you know, sometimes he couldn't get out of his own head. You know, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's not easy. You know, it's definitely, you get sort of stuck sometimes. You know, it's very tough to get out of that hole. But you sort of got to take day each by day. You know, just sort of baby steps. That's what I like to think about. I don't like to think too far ahead. I like to think small and just make my way up, I think. Yeah.
And in regards to, obviously, COVID, there was you were kind of getting back into the game. You had a few injuries and things like that, and then COVID kind of hit. How was COVID for you?
COVID wasn't easy, you know. For I think all of us were actually struggling a little bit, you know, sort of being indoors and knowing my lifestyle. Like, you know, I was training outside. It was tough to be inside for so long, you know, and not being able to train. Luckily, I had a home gym at home, so I was able to do a little bit of stuff. But in terms of tennis, couldn't train or anything. So being indoors for so long was actually, you know, mentally so hard for everyone, especially me as well, you know. But yeah, for sure.
Do you find do you find like COVID's given, for example, it made it a bit more of an open playing field? I think, quote me if I'm wrong, but as soon as we got out, I think was it the US Open or the French Open in the women's, some unseeded person won or got to a semis or something like that.
You might be right there, yeah.
And there's been, I think, some weird results, and you know, because do you think that's gonna kind of play out in your favour coming out of COVID, or how do you? I
think it's definitely taken a toll on a lot of players, especially the Europeans, when they've come over here and they've had to quarantine for 2 weeks, you know, no play, especially hard quarantine, not being able to train, you know. Obviously, these players are used to training all day, so this would have been literally, you know, a lot different for them, you know, not being able to hit a ball for so long. But I think it shouldn't take them too long to get back where they were, you know. It's just maybe like a little setback, but other than that, I think they should be right.
How about Djokovic complaining?
Yeah, I saw that. Wasn't happy with that, was he?
Yeah. They're I think Australia had the hardest of lockdowns, but it's something where
For sure.
I don't know. Like it's.
I think everyone got used to it pretty quickly, and sort of everyone helped each other. But yeah.
Do you still, having played it for so long, do you still love the game?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, I still love it. I
It's-
think I love it more than ever now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why?
For sure. Seeing all my friends sort of coming up now and sort of doing so well, it sort of brings me back into it, and I sort of want to do well as well. So why can't I sort of be up there as well, sort of thing, And we're seeing, I sort of want to go back to traveling as well, and being able to travel with them. It's just a cool feeling. Never used to like traveling, but now getting older now, you sort of want to go back out there and travel. Yeah.
Do you feel I don't know? Do you feel like maybe coming into it now? I wouldn't say you took it for granted, but more you just thought because you were doing it for so long. It's just it's just what you've always known, and it was just one of those things. And
Yeah, for sure. I think it gets a bit stale, doing something every day for 15, 16 years, you sort of need a little bit of a break. And I took a few breaks along the way, which definitely made me come back healthier, because don't want to burn yourself out, you know what I mean? So I think it's good for everyone to sort of take a break when they need to. Nothing wrong with that. But I miss the game more than ever now, so...
It's if you weren't a tennis player, what do you reckon you'd be?
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, that is a good question. I have no idea, to be honest. Not sure, really. I haven't really thought about that. I'd love to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty cool lifestyle, I guess. Something involved in sports, I guess.
Who inspires you? Is it someone in the game, or is it someone out of the game?
I don't know, to be honest. It's a good question as well. Not really someone that inspires me. Don't really have anyone, to be honest.
So you just you believe in yourself.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Let's stick with that
We'll go with that. I think Federer inspires me a little bit.
He inspires me.
Federer inspires me a lot, so yeah, I like to take after him.
Yeah. He's just a good guy.
He is.
He's
a great bloke all around.
Too paranoid though.
Yeah, he is. He's
Way
a little paranoid. He thinks a lot, doesn't he?
Way too much. Sometimes he'll call, he messaged me the other day. He had to have keys for a property, like this inspection on Saturday. It was Friday night. He had the keys and he was going to the open, but he went back to the office to drop them off. And he called me and just said, "Hey, Christian, just go and get them." And I said, "But what do you mean?" I'm like, "You had them." He's like, "Yeah, but you're going to meet me there." I'm like, "Exactly. So just go open the property." And I was like, "Are you serious? You went all the way back to drop them off because you're paranoid that for some reason, I don't know." I'm like, "You're fried." So we're working through this at the moment with him.
Oh no, that sounds like Fedger.
Yeah.
No, there's plenty of stories.
No, but he's a bundle of joy, man, and even obviously for him, coming into, he's obviously finished his tennis career and now he's going into his new career, so he's on his second phase. So it's cool, man. I feel like you guys are on similar journeys, but it's crazy. But what would you say? What's your best and I'd say worst moment on the tennis court? Have you had any bust ups? Have you ever smashed like a million rackets and started abusing an umpire and just stop the game like Kyrgios or anything like that?
Nah, not like Kyrgios. I've had some good moments. I've had definitely some bad moments. My worst moment. Okay, I'll tell you a story. So it was in Croatia. Played this Hungarian guy. Forgot his name. I played him the first week in Croatia, and I was up 3-love in the third set, and he came back and won after being. We were playing for about 2-3 hours, and the week after had to play him again, knowing the fact that I already lost last week, and I was like, I really don't want to be out there for so long, and it was raining, so the court was a lot slower than the first week. So after I lost the first set, I literally just walked up to the net and I was like, "Mate, I can't do this anymore." I can't do this. Mentally, I just lost it, and I was like, "Man, I just can't. Like, this is too good." And just walked off the court.
Yeah, but why? Like, what was it? Like,
it was just, mentally, it was being so. I was in a bad place as well at the time, and I was just couldn't do it. I was like, mate, honestly, I don't want to go play for so
Yeah.
long anymore.
Yeah,
I was
you're like, I'm
mate,
fucking over it,
mentally
just
gonna lose
take
it.
it.
Yeah, mentally just gonna lose it again. So
What was it? Just traveling?
yeah, and I was in a bad place, and I sort of wanted to go home as well, and
Yeah.
it was just, it was so tough, and yeah, just being there in Croatia, sort of by myself in a bad place, it just didn't help either.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm out.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out here. Yeah, I'm done.
And your best? What's your best moment?
Well, probably all those ones we talked about before,
Yeah.
practicing with Federer, Djokovic, winning Junior US Open, first round Australian Open, yeah. Playing in Miami as well, that was pretty cool, playing in doubles against the Bryan brothers, lost to Bryan brothers.
Wow, no way.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, playing against the Bryan brothers, so yeah, played with John Patrick Smith as my doubles partner. We made the quarterfinals and then we lost to Bryan brothers. Played on a pretty big court as well with a big crowd.
Fuck,
So
that's insane.
yeah, Miami's
Man,
definitely a
they
cool
were
place.
winners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, that was a cool experience for me as well.
Man, if there was one place you could like live, like that you've been that you're just like, this is amazing.
I would like to live in Miami.
Yeah.
So Miami's pretty cool. Spain's awesome. It's Barcelona. Barcelona's gorgeous. But I like America. America's pretty cool. Probably live in the States, to be honest. Yeah, just in terms of tennis, and it's got a pretty good base there, all that. But yeah, Melbourne, I'd probably have to say Melbourne is probably the
Melbourne.
place to be.
Yeah,
Nothing beats Melbourne. Come on.
Melbourne's good.
Exactly.
Melbourne's,
Yeah.
just even, I don't know, during lockdown, I was like, fuck this joint, I don't know what's going on. But now
Exactly.
we come back out. Like,
Exactly,
alright,
yeah,
alright.
we're good to go.
Yeah, we're back, we're living.
We are.
Chapel Street's jamming, everyone's happy, you know?
Yeah. Chapel Street's a place to be these days.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what's going on there. I don't think I've ever seen it this busy in my
Neither.
life. Like,
It's good. Everyone's going crazy.
that's right, we're back.
The
We're
world's
back. Yeah.
crazy.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given? Who was it by?
Whoa. Man, honestly, that's tough. You sort of got me on the spot there. This sort of advice, oh man, there's a lot. I haven't really got any, to be honest. You got me on the spot here. Far out.
I've got you fucking bamboozled.
Yeah, you actually did. Honestly, can't even think of any at the moment, to be honest. You got me. I'm stumped.
That's all right.
Yeah, you got me
We'll just keep it there. Maybe something.
Hold me for that. Yeah.
Describe your perfect day.
Tennis wise or
Yeah, just
recently I like to game. I'm a pretty big gamer. Like I like to play Call of Duty a lot. But I like doing other activities. I like to sort of train in the morning, get my stuff done early, and then sort of hanging out with friends in the afternoon. But yeah, perfect day would have to be train in the morning, probably get lunch with a group of friends, and then sort of if I have to train in the afternoon or just go-karting or sort of like, I'm pretty competitive, so everything we do has to sort of turn into competitive, so yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, don't worry about tennis, just go into esports.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, the amount of money and stuff that's going
man,
on
it's
there.
crazy. It's ridiculous, isn't
Man,
it?
what is going? It's ridiculous.
It is
Like that's becoming a whole nother beast.
Yeah, it is.
And I think you're going to see in 10 years' time, you're going to have some players that are like making more money than, for example, Ronaldo, whoever that is going to be at the time. Like it's going to be, it's going to be weird, man. But on Instagram, like the last couple of weeks, I've been pissing myself. Like, and you actually went hard. You did a nice little rampage of it, where people are just abusing you in DMs. Like, because for example, if you lost the match or won the match or whatever, like, how do you number one deal with that? And is that just regular? Like, does that what always happens?
A lot of tennis players have to deal with that on a regular basis, I think, because a lot of people gamble on matches and all that. But yeah, I've been abused many times before in my DMs, and like I was like in my head, I was like, if these people want to abuse me, I might as well just throw them under the bus, just not throw them under the bus, but sort of post about them, because it makes them think like, oh, should I really be doing this? If they're going out of their way to sort of send these messages, like it's pretty crazy, and a lot of tennis players should not have to deal with it, at the end of the day. They've already got enough on their plate, I think. And just to cop abuse like that, 'cause there's some pretty nasty messages in there, that people shouldn't be copying, and some people handle it pretty rough. So yeah, just sort of we have to deal with it a lot, to be honest. So,
How do you deal with it? Like, how does it get to you?
Honestly, it doesn't get to me too much, to be honest.
Did it
I sort of
used to,
laugh
or-
it off a bit.
yeah?
Yeah, never used to. I
Yeah.
sort of see it as, why waste your time in
Yeah.
a way, sort of. If these people want to go out of their way and abuse me, then fair enough, go for it. But you're taking time out of your day to message me, you know. I must be doing something right if I'm, if they're really sort of thinking about me. It's just, yeah, it's a bit stupid. But
Does it still happen? Like, is it a regular thing, or is it just kind of like when you're playing, like for example, after a match, like?
Yeah, it happens a lot. It never used to. Now it's sort of that I'm playing a bit more now, coming back. Yeah, they're sort of starting to abuse me a bit more. But yeah, sort of. I'm probably just gonna have to block message requests or something like that, so they just. But it doesn't really faze me too much, I just sort of like to post about them and sort of just show people what a life of a tennis player is, Yeah.
I think generally, if they're abusing you, it's like a mirror that they've got some form of insecurity with their own lives. So.
Like, it just goes to show how bored you really are.
Yeah, man.
That you're sitting at home and you got to message this person that you lost a lot of money. Like, you shouldn't be doing that in the first place.
Yeah. I saw you were getting called a match fixer.
Yeah,
things like that.
It's
Like
just stupid messages like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few messages like that, like just nasty messages. Like, don't see the need for people to think about that. It just must be something bad happening in your life.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What's the plan? What's the plan for this year? Like, obviously, you've got a massive year ahead. Like, where have you started scheduling in some tournaments? Or I know you been playing in Ballarat?
I was in Bendigo.
Bendigo,
yep. So I just got back from Bendigo a few days ago. Played 2 weeks tournaments there. It was good. Got a lot of matches in. Played some good players. My next few weeks would probably have to say I'm going to Brisbane on the 20th.
Yeah.
Got 2 tournaments up there. Hopefully, if everything's alright down here with COVID and all that, no cases.
Yeah, bad.
Knock on wood, we're alright. But yeah, Brisbane, and then I'll probably take a week off and then go on to Canberra for 2 weeks.
Nice.
So yeah, got a pretty big month coming up, I like to say. So I'm just going to train before that. Yeah, just look forward to that. I'm pretty keen on travelling again interstate. So yeah.
And then, so travelling interstate, you'll smash that out. Are you gonna head? Is there a chance, or what's going? Probably because of COVID. What's happening with the tour?
Yeah, I'm sort of just keeping an eye out on that. Europe's not the best place at the moment. I think we actually might be the safest country at the moment.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So I'm sort of keeping my eye out on that. Luckily, we have a lot of tournaments coming up here. So hopefully, I'm just going to stay here for a little bit and then just keep my eye out on sort of heading to Europe. I want to head. Not sure where I'm going to head over at the moment. If everything's alright, I'm obviously want to get to Europe, but just sort of got to wait a bit and see if everything's alright there. Because don't want to quarantine up there, and all that. Spend a lot of money. So, yeah, I want to head to Europe this year for sure.
Is that is there a lot of tournaments up there? Like, how does it work? Because now with COVID.
Yeah, well, I know there's a lot of tournaments in Turkey at the moment.
Yeah.
Like my level at the moment, which I want to go and play. So Turkey or Egypt.
Okay.
Can be a place for me to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just make my way up from there.
What do you like? I know it might be hard to answer this question, but what have you set out for yourself? Like, what do you want to achieve? Like, if this time next year, where do you want to be?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it too much. I'm sort of taking baby steps at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. If I sort of want to be the best person I can, sort of. I just want to be healthy as well. But if I can, get into the top 500, 300, that's probably my goal for the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, the higher the better for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just sort of taking baby steps at the moment.
10 years time, obviously you'll be 34, close. So you've probably still got a couple of years in you after that. But well, let's just say when you wrap up your career, how do you want to be known as? What do you want to achieve? Like you're 23, turning 24 this year.
Yeah, 24 in May. Yep.
Yeah, 24. So you've still got a really long career ahead of you, and you've got a lot to achieve. What do you want to be known as by the time you're done?
It's a good question.
Even achievements,
what?
Are
Sort of. I just want to be, the best player I can. Sort of. I'd love to win a slam. Obviously, who wouldn't? Definitely, and a home slam as well. But yeah, just traveling and sort of being healthy. I'm enjoying the sport a lot, so I think that's the main thing for me. A lot of tennis players are they're just traveling for the sake of traveling and just playing. it's tough to really stay sane and happy in this sport because it's mentally so draining and tough. But yeah, I just want to be happy and sort of be the best person I can. Help people along the way. I've got a younger brother that's 16 and he's playing at the moment. And sort of help him, help myself, and just enjoy the sport, to be honest.
Just kind of enjoy it. Good on you,
exactly,
man.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, bloody oath. Good on you, man. And then when you finish, what do you reckon? Real estate agent?
Oh, maybe. Gonna have to, maybe, Collins. God, real estate for sure.
Yeah. We'll chuck you in, I reckon, by then, Veg. He's going to be the
Done.
best in Australia, I reckon. So
100%.
but he'll mentor you.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'll be good.
Yeah, he's he's killer. No, I think, man, the last thing just to wrap up, just something funny, man, which I didn't know. I just kind of made some searches and I just found this hilarious. Were you like a stunt double or whatever for Rod Laver, the statue?
Yeah, I was.
So that Rod Laver statue, was that you just?
So yeah, let me go back a bit. So I don't even know how you found that. That's really crazy. But I got a call up. This was a few years back, asking because my body used to suit Rod Laver's body when he was younger. So they sort of needed someone to sculpt them into his body and be the statue at the front of the Australian Open. So they called me and I had to go. They asked me to come into this room and I had to stand in a backhand volley position for honestly about 4 or 5 hours. Like the first day I remember, I started almost cramping because that volley position was so hard that it was tough on my legs. So I had to come back the next day and finish it off. And they sort of sculpted me into this sculpture. So at the front of Rod Laver, it's my body into his. Yeah,
that's funny, man. But so you had to stand. I saw it, and then how was it like?
It was so they were.
What were you doing for 4 hours?
Just standing, so they can sculpt me. Yep.
And was it just like pain?
It was pain. Yeah, it was. So we sort of had to take breaks because it was so hard on the body, and then came back the next day because I was sore.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
But now it's worth it.
Bloody oath.
It's worth it because now
every time you walk past
I can just be like,
bloody oath. I always walk past it as well.
Yep.
I never know that. Every time I'm like, it's Omar.
That's my body. Yeah, it's a weird thought, but
yeah, bloody
that thing's
oath.
gonna be there for many years.
Yeah, bloody oath, man. That is funny.
So it's a pretty cool.
Yeah, bloody oath. When I heard that, I was like, that's insane. But Omar, man, thank you so much for jumping on and having this chat.
Anytime.
I met you the other night, so it was it wasn't the first time I met you, but I do wish you the best of luck. You've got such a big year ahead, or a big career in general ahead of you. Obviously growing up, you've gone through a few hiccups and things like that. That's all part of it.
Yeah.
But man, I'm expecting you to jump back strong, man.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you.